Hey there hustlers, welcome back to Forever Hustle. With the anticipation of the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 releasing in the coming months, we decided that today's video will be discussing the top 10 worst gaming consoles. Are you ready?
Let's go!
Last time we discussed the best gaming machines to date, but that made us think, what were some of the worst gaming consoles ever created? When we started doing the research, it made us so grateful for the technological advancements that happened over the years. Some of these units' faults range from the awkward keyboards all the way to brain damage. So if you wanted to find out what some of the worst video game machines were, you've come to the right place. We've compiled a list of the worst gaming consoles to date. Number 7. Laser Active. Laser Active was a specialist laserdisc player designed and manufactured by Pioneer. It was a relatively large device, mostly to accommodate the large size of physical laserdiscs, and was also capable of playing CD-ROMs. However, the system was not so fondly remembered because of the high price and subsequent failure of laserdisc technology as a method to store data. To make matters worse, it was hard to use and could only hold roughly an hour worth of data. Say goodbye to zeroing a level or even moving to the next phase of the game. Laserdiscs were inevitably replaced with DVDs, so this system never even stood a chance in the gaming world. Number 6. Ouya. This Android powered gaming console was funded on Kickstarter, and only a few hours after going live they managed to raise $8.5 million, making it one of Kickstarter's most supported projects ever. However, whilst they did deliver on the final product, it simply did not live up to the hype the company generated about the device. Ouya Inc. came up with the goal of changing the face of gaming. They planned on achieving this by setting up the console to be used as a development kit, without the need for licensing fees. This would allow any Ouya owner to also be a developer. The dream of gamers. Due to financial problems, the company was sold to Razer Inc. in 2015, who eventually announced that they would be discontinuing the unit. They also subsequently stopped support for the device in June 2019, rendering most of the apps unusable and crushing the dreamers. Number 5. Hyperscan. Hyperscan was a home video game console from the toy company Mattel. It used radio frequency identification along with traditional video gaming technology to develop the unit. Mattel sold trading cards with an RFID chip so that the device could scan and load new characters and abilities into the game. They wanted to appeal to the generation of the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon trading card lovers, so they used this as a way to entice them. Although the idea was solid, the execution was poor, as the RFID chip was deficient, but the real problem was the games themselves. The game's performance was slow, and at times literally unplayable, and the graphics were dated. This sounded a bit like dial-up, a time period I never want to go back to. Eventually, less than a year after its release, the system was finally discontinued. Number 4. Pippin. I bet you had no idea that Apple made a video game system. Well, they did, and it was called the Apple Bandai Pippin. It was a multimedia technology console designed by Apple Computers, and was a derivative of the Apple Macintosh platform. The goal was to create a low-cost computer system aimed at playing CD-based multimedia software, especially games, but also functioning as a simple server-based gaming system. What caused the Pippin's downfall, you may ask? Well, it was due to awful device performance, poor controls and bad games. It also didn't help that the other consoles that were being released during this time were more cost effective and had better performance, better controls and a wider variety of games. Before we move on to the next unit, we wanted to reach out to you, our loyal supporters, as we noticed that 90% of the viewers we get aren't yet subscribed to the channel. If you love our videos, please subscribe as it really helps us out. Also, don't forget to turn on the bell notification to get notified when we upload a new video. Number 3. Engage. The Nokia Engage, also known as the Taco phone for its shape, was a phone designed to be a handheld console which attempted to compete with Nintendo's Game Boy Advance as being both a video game device and a mobile phone. It also had MP3, real audio video playback and PDA features. It also had a memory card slot rather than a cartridge slot, which meant you could install games on a memory card and use it on the device. The console, if you could call it that, came with 3D capabilities, which for 2003 was impressive, but while the idea of a gaming mobile was inventive, it was poorly executed. It did have some good games from good franchises like Hoodlum Havoc and Sonic N. So, why did it fail? Well, it's not actually a handheld gaming device, since it needed a SIM card in order to work. The buttons were not suited for gaming, and users complained about how uncomfortable it was. In order to change the game, users had to access the card slot, which at the time meant removing the back cover and the battery in order to access the slot. They slowly started to lose their reputation, and was eventually moved to the smartphones category when Nokia started focusing on that area. This went on till 2010 when it was discontinued. Number 2. ARzone. ARzone was a portable gaming console, developed and manufactured by Tiger Electronics in 1995. It was initially advertised as a virtual reality device, or so the public was led to believe. The original unit consisted of a headset and a separate battery-powered controller. Each game cartridge had its own transparent LCD display screen, which was projected onto a mirrored surface held in front of the player's eyes. It was eventually discontinued in 1997, given that users complained of bad display, awkward controllers and painful headgear. Overall, the functionality of the gaming system was not up to par with the other devices being used or released during that time. The consumers also had headaches, sore eyes and dizziness after using the game. I don't know about you, but this is not what I want when I'm gaming. Before we look at our number 1 pick for today, let's look at some systems that were simply disgraceful but didn't quite make the cut. Here are the dishonorable mentions. Turbo Express, Nuon, Amiga CD32, Gacon TV Boy, Gizmondo, 3DO Interactive Multiplayer, Sega Saturn, RCA Studio 2, GameCon, Action Max, RDI Halcyon, Coleco Telstar Arcade, Magnavox Odyssey, Atari 5200. Number 1. Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy was a tabletop portable video game console developed and manufactured by Nintendo. See, they can make some bad consoles too. Released in 1995, it was marketed as the first console capable of displaying 3D graphics. The player would use the unit by placing their head against the eyepiece to see a red monochrome display, which would help to create the illusion of depth. Official launch day happened at the Shishinkai trade show in 1994, with some gamers reviewing the unit. They stated that the game was unrealistic, was of poor quality, too bulky and not worth the money despite the quality of the hardware used. Many reviewers complained of painful and frustrating physiological symptoms when using Virtual Boy. Some of the symptoms were dizziness, nausea and headaches. Scientists who reviewed the game concluded that the long-term side effects could be more serious, and articles published in magazines during that time speculated that using any immersive headset such as the Virtual Boy could cause sickness, flashbacks and even permanent brain damage. Would you have risked it all to try this out? And no, I wouldn't. Over the course of development, the console technology was downscaled due to high costs and potential health concerns, and an increasing amount of resources were reallocated to the development of their new home console. Can you guess what that was? Leave your answer in the comments down below. Sales eventually failed to meet targets and Nintendo ceased distribution and game development in 1996, having released only 22 games for the system. So let's hear it. What do you guys think? Are there any gaming consoles you think we should have mentioned or ranked differently? Do let us know down in the comment section below. Our last video was on the top 7 best gaming consoles to date, so if you haven't seen it yet, we will link it in the description. If you'd like to be friends or just let us know any suggestions for upcoming videos, you can follow us on Instagram at Forever Hustle.
But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for coming by, everybody. See you guys later.